October 1996. You once again find yourself sitting in your room, doing another arcade mode run of Tekken. You do this every day, but today is not like most days. Your friend Josh has invited you over to his house to play Tekken. He said he just got it, and thought it would be fun to play with you. You failed to mention you're a god of the game. 2 hours later, your mother drops you off. Josh is waiting for you excitedly at the door. When he sees you, he smiles, and you smile back. As you enter, he offers you a snack, or something to drink. You politely decline. You have more important things on your mind. You both then make your way over to the TV, where the game is already on. As you sit, Josh gleefully hands you the controller, while laughing about how he's not very good. You laugh alongside him, and say that you're not very good either. But you're lying. You've played Tekken every free moment you've had for the last year. You know every combo, have mastered every character, and have a sense of timing and spacing that Josh couldn't even begin to comprehend. Josh picks his character, and says that they're probably his best. You look at the screen to see which character you would be annihilating. But something wasn't right. It said he picked June. But there wasn't a character named June in Tekken. And now that you're paying attention, all the characters look different, and your favorite character Kazuya wasn't even on the roster. You sheepishly turn towards Josh and ask what game you're playing. Josh looks at you funny and says, "What do you mean? We're playing Tekken 2. Tekken 2? Tekken had just come out near the end of the previous year, and there was already a Tekken 2? Starting with its arcade release in late 1995 and then being ported to the PlayStation in August of 1996, the sequel to Tekken would be released on the PlayStation less than a year after its predecessor and would be a significant step up in visuals, music, and single-player content, and would go on to sell over 3 times as much as the original game. And with that out of the way, let's talk about the story. 2 years have passed since Kazuya Mishima took over the Mishima Zaibatsu by throwing his father Heihachi off a cliff, and has since turned himself and the organization even more corrupt than it once was. One such evil act being the poaching and experimenting of animals. This would get the attention of Jun Kazama, a member of a wildlife conservation group. Kazuya, having built up many international enemies, decides to hold the second King of Iron Fist tournament in hopes of drawing them out and establishing his dominance. And as it turns out, Kazuya's number one enemy, aka his father, had survived being thrown off the cliff, climbed back up, and had spent the last 2 years training and plotting his revenge. And thus, he, alongside Jun Kazama and many others, would participate in the second King of Iron Fist tournament. Now when it comes to the core gameplay of Tekken 2, many things are retained from the previous game. Your goal is still to completely reduce your opponent's health bar, or have the most health when time runs out. And you can still move forward, back, jump, crouch, and block, and have 4 attack buttons. The left and right punch button, and the left and right kick button. And different combinations allow for throws and character-specific attacks. And you still have different options when knocked down, such as standing, rolling forward, rolling back, etc. Unlike the first game, however, there is a wide variety of modes that you can access. But we'll start with the original game's main mode first, Arcade Mode. You begin by picking one of the 10 base roster members, which include 8 returning characters. Paul, who looks more like a model than ever, King, who's now an alcoholic, Law, who actually looks human now, Michelle, who's still into buffaloes, Yoshimitsu, who's no longer pure nightmare fuel, Nina, who tried to kill her sister with a bomb, Jack 2, who's a different Jack from the first game, but still plays the same, and Heihachi, who now replaces Kazuya as part of the base roster. Then there's Jun Kazama, the future baby mama, and Lei, the respected police officer. Once again, your goal in arcade mode is to fight 8 different opponents before reaching the tournament sponsor, now being Kazuya, to win the tournament. Unlike the first game, however, there is an additional 10th fight against Kazuya in his devil form. After that, you watch your character's unique ending and are shown the credits. For the most part, the gameplay is just like the original, besides a few additions, such as some characters having multi-part throws, known as chain throws, and every character now has an unblockable move, which are slow to pull off, but do high damage if landed. Where Tekken 2 improves on its predecessor in a big way is its much larger list of single-player modes. First is Survival Mode, where each fight is 1 round and your goal is to win as many fights as possible without losing a single match. Your lost health carries over into each fight, but you get a little bit of health back each round. Then there's Time Attack, which is basically arcade mode, but now with the added goal of completing it as fast as possible, and the ability to put in your initials on the results screen. Then there's Team Battle, which can be played single player or with a friend, where you pick up to 8 characters on a team and then you fight to see who can take out all the members of the competing team first. There's also now a full-on practice mode, now complete with every character's move list. And finally, of course, you have the settings. Tekken 2 even manages to have more unlockable content than the first game as well. For one, there's 15 unlockable characters, including 10 returning characters. Kazuya, the new leader of the Mishima Zaibatsu, Kuma, who still doesn't look quite right, Kunimitsu, the shinobi, Lee, who looks very unhappy to be here, P-Jack, who's no longer a complete monstrosity, Ganryu, who falls in love with Michelle, Wang, whose name is still fun to say, Armor King, who's going through a lot, Anna, who tried to kill her sister with a machine gun, and Devil, who's no longer just a costume and now has unique attacks. And then there are new characters, which include Roger and Alex, the animals Kazuya had scientists experiment on, Beck, a master of Taekwondo, Bruce, the kickboxer, and Angel, who is a costume swap of Devil. Almost all of these characters are unlocked by completing arcade mode with the different roster members, except for Roger and Alex, where you need to win stage 3 with 5% or less health. Besides characters, you also have some other weird stuff like Big Head mode, which does exactly what you would expect. And then you got Sky mode, which adds a ton of knockback to your attacks, which allows you to pull off some lengthy and game-breaking combos. Then you got Wireframe mode, which literally allows you to play as your character without any of their polygons. And finally, once you've unlocked everything, you get a new title screen with Kazuya's face to reward your efforts. Most importantly of all, the game is just fun. The controls are still tight, and the characters feel even more diverse than they were in the last game. You got martial artists, you got robots, wrestlers, bears. If someone were to tell me that they couldn't find a character for them, I'd just say they weren't trying hard enough. Even though a large portion of the roster is returning characters, a lot of the old characters actually got new attacks, which helps to make them feel fresh. I don't know another fighting game that lets you play as a kangaroo with boxing gloves. Do you? Now then, to the endings. After fighting his way through the second Iron Fist tournament, Heihachi finally defeats Kazuya and decides simply throwing him off a cliff is no longer cool enough, so he chooses an active volcano. He's then picked up via helicopter and flies off smiling about something that surely has nothing to do with the death of his son. Besides Heihachi, some other standout endings are Armor King's, where you learn he's grown incredibly ill but still powers through it and continues to fight, and Kazuya, who has a completely non-canon ending where Heihachi saves him from Devil, and then Kazuya picks up his body and uses him as a human shield. All in all, Tekken 2 takes the foundation of the first game and improves upon it with better looking models, more content, and manages to completely flip the roles of Heihachi and Kazuya as hero and villain, even though they are both completely evil. Which now leaves you to wonder, could they possibly improve upon the formula yet again and make an even better game? Spoiler alert, they did! 74 matches. You lost 74 matches in a row. You've never felt such disgrace and shame in your life. Josh has been bored for hours now and continues to ask if you guys can play something else. But no, you won't allow him to quit. Not until he knows the feeling of defeat. And until that day, no one will be leaving this room.